Hello SSSVEDA folks, it's day 22 and the question of the day is, what is the nicest thing anyone has ever done for you or someone has ever done for you? So, wow, I mean, I'm getting up there. So I've been around for a while and a lot of people have done a lot of nice things. You know, you've got your parents and your grandparents, and I already talked about my grandfather as a mentor. That, you know, he did a lot of nice things, and you know, those are, I tend to think of things in terms of magnitude and scale. So how big is what they did? How much did it change who I was or who I was able to become? And you know, how much did they have to put on the line for it? So for example, if someone, I don't know, bought me a can of Coke, you know, it's relatively low effort on their part. I mean, it's nice and it's appreciated and all that kind of stuff, but it's not the nicest thing anyone has ever done. So I tried to think of the things that really set themselves apart. And a lot of those were politics related. There was, I actually kind of got started running for office in 2006 when I was trying to help a campaign of a guy that I thought wasn't getting enough attention. His name was Bill Pearce, and he was running for governor of Ohio, and I helped him enough that he kind of gave me my start, and you know, he nominated me to be, or he asked me to be his candidate for lieutenant governor of Ohio, who's like, you know, think of it as the vice president of the state of Ohio. So I thought about it and I decided you don't really get that kind of chance every day. So I figured I'd learn a lot, and so I did that. But that wasn't, you know, that was very nice of him, but that wasn't the nicest thing. I think the nicest thing was after that I ran a whole bunch of different campaigns, and I don't think, you know, none of them were as organized as that. And I was actually in a campaign for state representative when I got the attention of a woman you know, she was relatively far away, and she just, you know, saw how I was handling myself online and stuff. She thought the overall message was good, but I was kind of handling it maybe not optimally, especially within the context of the average voter. She thought I was maybe talking down to them a little bit, and because I don't know, sometimes I can come off that way. I don't know, you tell me. Hopefully I'm not. But and I tend to view my audience as peers, which incidentally I have about 38 subscribers now, so I kind of I don't know, should I think of it as the size of the audience that it is? Should I think of it as like a, you know, we're up to the size of like a college classroom full of people, and I would definitely be nervous talking in front of an audience that big. Now luckily, even though I have about 35 or so subscribers, I think it was 38 maybe, luckily a lot of them don't show up to class every day, so it's more like 10 people. But still, even talking to a group of 10 people, even after running for office and stuff, I do get a little bit nervous about it, and that's why I'm vlogging every day in April. But anyway, I you know, wasn't presenting myself as well as possible, and so she reached out to me, I think on Facebook, and we talked about, well, first of all, she was asking if there were any candidates near her that I thought were good, and you know, there were some that I mentioned to her, but she'd already investigated them, and for one reason or another decided that they were not really ready for the kind of help she was willing to provide. And I said, well, you know, I really need a campaign manager. I've never really had one before. This is going to be a big race, and that would be a role that, I mean, I don't know if you'd be willing to put in that kind of time commitment. But to my surprise, she said yes. And the rest is history. She coached me a lot in how to present my message to people, though we got in a lot of arguments about, you know, heated arguments. Like, she got really mad at me about, we'd talk about various issues, and I would tell her just right off the cuff what my thought was on it and the way I presented it, and sometimes even the view altogether really upset her, and so she told me about it. And it was through having that kind of test market that I was able to craft the message more appropriately, and I think win over a lot of people. She had some experience with fundraising with charities. That's one of the hardest parts of being a candidate, is even a small campaign, you gotta be fundraising all the time, and that's one of the things I've always been worst at. I don't want to spend other people's money. So, I mean, that's the whole thing I'm running on, is that we need to stop spending other people's money and let people make decisions with their own money. So it's really hard for me with that core belief to say, hey, can I have your money so I can spend it on stuff? Now, of course, it's much more like a business in that, here I'm providing a service of running for office so you can vote for me, and I will represent your views. Here are my views so that you know whether or not you want to support me and stuff like that. So it's a little bit, I don't know, different. But anyway, she really helped me get through that kind of block, and she actually asked a lot of people on my behalf, which honestly, as the candidate, I should have been doing that more, and that's one of the things I learned from her. But we ended up getting about half the money from one donor who gave a large donation for the whole campaign, and then the rest came from Facebook donations, and many of those were messages she sent. I had a couple thousand followers on Facebook, and she messaged each and every one of them, and oftentimes had conversations, and was able to secure a lot of donations. And so that brought us up to about $10,000, which I think is probably one of the highest, it's probably one of the largest budgets I had on a campaign, and it allowed us to do a lot of things like yard signs that we hadn't had the money to do before. So she also helped me negotiate. I was a challenger party candidate, so I wasn't Republican or Democrat, which are the two parties here in Ohio. For the most part, there are a couple of other challenger parties, the Libertarians, Greens, Constitution Party, and then there were also the Socialists. The Libertarian Party has been kicked off the ballot by Republicans, specifically the friends of John Kasich, who's currently running for president. So anyway, it's been pretty contested. I mean, when people are a little worried that you're going to be stealing their votes when they have your entire party kicked off the ballot. So, but yeah, I was running for a local race. It was city council of the city of Columbus, Ohio, which is the capital city of Ohio. It's a very large area, and due to the nature of the election, it was top 8 finishers, so kind of like a slate of 4 Republicans and 4 Democrats, typically, with maybe a couple independents there that usually didn't get enough votes to win. So it pretty much was just the Republican and Democrat slate making it through. So I was up there with 3 people on, running as Libertarians, and we managed to, we were thinking of ways like, how are we going to survive this? Because the challenger candidates don't, usually it's the major party slates that just win. And so anyway, we looked at the candidates honestly, and we thought, the Democrats, they weren't going to budge, because they had pretty much, they'd won, they'd had control of city council every year since 1965, and that has persisted even since that election. But yeah, we were just looking at it, and we thought that 2 of the Republicans were going to have trouble appealing to the masses with their message, and that that 2 of the Libertarians were going to be better able to do that, and I was one of them. And so we negotiated with the GOP, and according to the Libertarian Party, the first time ever that a Libertarian candidate negotiated with the GOP and had them sideline 2 of their candidates to make room for 2 of ours. So essentially we didn't need a primary, which was nice because we saved taxpayers a lot of dollars. They have to pay for all the primaries. But yeah, we made it to the general election, and that is 100% because my campaign manager saw that opportunity and encouraged me to pursue it. And I set up a meeting, and she drove all the way to Columbus to attend the meeting and was there, and we made it happen. So yeah, it was a very hard-fought campaign, and we didn't have a lot of resources, so she had to work extra hard. We had a couple of volunteers, and they were able to help a little bit, but the heavy lifting was done. She drummed up support from her friends and family to come help, and we got stuff done. And my treasurer was also a huge help there, because he's on the line if he does a math error in his accounting, which he wasn't a professional accountant or anything, but there are very real penalties for campaign finance filing errors. So all of my treasurers I owe a great deal of gratitude to, because they put their necks on the line, and they could have gotten in really big legal trouble as amateurs, trying to, it's like an amateur running out onto the field in an NFL game and trying to not get creamed. So it takes guts to do that. So anyway, the campaign proceeded, and she helped me craft my message and present it to people better and better. And I would, through Skype calls and stuff like that, I would simulate, we'd simulate Q&As and stuff like that, and she would just read me the riot act. She'd criticize me where when I answered a question in a way that was just going to be unpalatable to the masses, and we tried to figure out a way to explain it in a better way. And it seemed to work, because I ended up getting, we didn't win, but we came within 5% of the vote of winning a seat. And I was the #2 libertarian vote getter in the nation, in the entire United States that year. I was right behind, this was a city council race, and I was the #2 vote getter behind my friend Ken Molman of Kentucky, who got, he was running a statewide race. So, yeah, that's the nicest thing anyone ever did for me. And it was at least 2 years, major chunks of her extremely busy life. She's a mom with 2 kids, and now she's facing some serious health issues that are very serious, and it gives you pause to think about, when you give a bunch of time to someone, what other things could a person be spending their time on, and they choose to spend it on you. And that is a really incredible gift that I don't know how to repay. So it's an amazing thing, and it's the nicest thing anyone has ever done for me. So I'd love to hear your comments, and please like and subscribe. And yeah, that's it for today. Bye.